Hey everybody, what's up? How are you? How are you? Still getting all the technical stuff worked out with all this new equipment, but today I hope you're having a good one, regardless of where you may be. So it may be morning for you right now, afternoon or evening. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. There is some breaking news that I want to talk about. And really, I think that there is something bigger going on here in this case, but we'll get there. Shout out to everybody in the chat as well. What's up, Queen? How are you, babe? So, Russia has released Trevor Reed, former U.S. Marine, Texan Trevor Reed, in a prisoner swap, right? And this man's family has been very vocal regarding him, his health. I mean, just a month ago, his family met with President Biden at the White House. But Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan are still being held. So as of now, there are now just 2 Americans that we're aware of that are being held in Russia. Now, this is great news for Trevor Reed. I'm very happy for Trevor Reed that he has been released. I actually want to show you guys the footage, okay? When they released him, I mean, and then the way this went down, this was a prisoner swap. So there was a Russian prisoner who was arrested back in 2010. He was arrested for transporting like a huge amount of cocaine. I believe it was like in Turkey. I'll get the details here in just a minute for you. But, his name is Yeroshenko, right? So Russia wanted Yeroshenko. We wanted Trevor Reed. We obviously want Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan as well. But let's be really clear here that Russia is not considered, okay, in any form or fashion, an ally of America or the United States of America. Russia has never been considered really an ally. There's always something going on. There's always talk of war, escalation of things. There's always threats, whatever, right? But it gets real dicey when people go to jail in these sorts of countries, especially ones where we don't have certain treaties with, we don't have certain agreements with, and especially one we're not an ally of, right? That's scary. And I'm going to speak on this too, being the fact, I mean, again, I'm going to show you this footage here in a second of Trevor Reed, even just the way they were handling him. But you know what? It doesn't even matter. Like they literally forced him to carry his own bag as well, which I would have carried mine too, but it was just the way. You'll see what I'm talking about. Where you could just tell, like, there's no respect between Russians and Americans at all. But I do think that this is chess. And I'm sort of wondering, um, is there something weak within on Putin's side of things? Is this war not going as good as he planned? Did he not realize the weight of the world would be on his shoulders when he chose to do this? Not to mention the fact that there's video coming out every day, damn near now, okay, of mounds of civilian dead, just dead civilians lying down streets. Now, let's be fair. Let's be fair. There's also film and recording that was just caught just this past week of Ukrainian soldiers brutally murdering. So there's nothing clean on either side as far as I'm concerned. I just will say this and then I'll leave it alone. I hope and I pray none of our soldiers have to go over there and deal with any of that. Biden, White House, we should not be sending a single soldier to fight for Ukraine. Let them figure it out themselves. Maps change geographically all the time. How many times has the map changed just in your lifetime? Just in my lifetime. You know, the Russian Federation was known as the Soviet Republic, right? The USSR at one point. Listen, land masses change. And that's how I look at these sorts of things. And I do, but I also understand the fact that nobody wants to see Putin work his way through Ukraine. Because once he gets through Ukraine, there's a lot of other smaller countries that he would love to unify back to what he refers to as the USSR, right? But I think probably, yeah, one of the biggest concerns, and I feel like it should be voiced regarding Paul Whelan and Brittney Griner, who are still being held, okay? Who are still being held. Hold on just a sec. Yeah, that are still being held. And Brittney Griner is known for being LGBTQ, IA. I don't know the whole like segments or whatnot, but it's very clear, okay? And that in Russia, you must understand that it is actually against the law, right? So that's already something that is of a concern to many people, right? And then, of course, Paul Whelan, still being held as well. I believe he's like 52, 53 years old. Um, and, you know, Brittney Griner's been playing over there in Russia for like, what, 7 years now professionally? So it's like, I wonder sometimes about how all of that went down as far as her detainment. You know, you see it's not, I mean, come on, even in Russia, right? You see a Brittney Griner walking down the hallway of the airport. I mean, she's tall as hell. That alone, right? She stands out. Was there a plan? That's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, I just don't feel like, she, is coming back to play in this country. To play in this country. I just don't think that she was just walking through the airport and they just decided, her of all people, we're going to check your bags. And boom, we find vape cartridges. Did they find vape cartridges? I don't know. I haven't seen any photos of that. Have you? But okay, we know that from different country to different country, the different rules apply, right? Whatever. Okay, let's say there was some vape cartridges in there, if there even was. Um, like, what prompted you to even pull her over and, not necessarily pull her over, but pull her to the side and want to dig through her bags? Do not underestimate the Russians, ever. Do not underestimate the fact that there's political games being played like you would never believe. We're talking stuff like, for all we know, there could have been some plot or plan for the last 2 or 3 years, knowing that she'd been playing there for 7. For all we know, I mean, when Putin is doing all what he does, you've seen him in action, right? We've seen Putin in action. Everything he does is planned. Everything. He doesn't do shit off the cuff like that. Is it possible that, knowing he was about to go to war in Ukraine, did he look at the fact that a very famous American that plays for the Russian basketball team, well, they're all going to be, coming back together, start playing again on this and this state or whatever. And how do we know a message wasn't put out? Pull her to the side when she gets here. The truth is, they haven't shown a piece of evidence. They still won't even admit where Brittney Griner's physical location is. Right? So, yeah, that's a concern, right? So, needless to say, we will continue to watch the Brittney Griner story and Paul Whelan as well. I really hope, I think this is a really great step that Trevor Reed was released, by the way, from Texas, may I add. So he is a Texan. He is a former Marine. Here's him getting on a plane to leave this place that he probably hates, right, at this point.
Russian state TV has just aired new video of what it says is Trevor Reed as he arrived at a Moscow airport for his later departure from the country. He's being escorted, you can see there, to a plane by uniformed soldiers. Unclear when this footage was shot. You could see Trevor Reed there appearing to bear the weight of his 3 years in detention in Russia on his shoulders. Reed, as we reported earlier, has been exchanged for Russian national Konstantin Yaroshenko, who had been imprisoned in the U.S. for more than a decade. This in a prisoner swap. It's our information, and we just spoke with the State Department spokesman. Trevor Reed is now in the air on his way home. He has spoken to the president and spoken to his family.
The city testing
like on some real shit though. Sorry about that. I don't pay for CNN, but I just feel like that was executed just right. That's how I feel. The way that this particular, think about it. We all woke up pretty much, or we've been awake for a few hours. I know I've been awake. I've already cleaned my whole damn house and everything. We get this news early in the morning, right? We obviously there's a lot that has went into this. Just kind of some details here about what actually went into this. It just feels like it was executed right. So give me just a second here. All right, so Trevor Reed was actually detained on August 15th, 2019. So let's see, 4/27, 2022. Wow, I just realized today is April 27th. That's actually a really important day for me, but I digress. He was visiting his Russian girlfriend. Sorry about that. He was visiting his Russian girlfriend. He was out at a party, became intoxicated. Says he was traveling home from the party in the early morning hours of August 16th when their car was pulled over. Reed says he got out because he got sick and started running around, right? There's this whole timeline that ABC has put on. Really, it doesn't really matter to me how it happened. Dude is young, okay? He had a drunken night. Nobody was killed, okay? Um, he didn't rob anybody. This is something you would have got a ticket for in America, right? Or, a date with the court, being rowdy and all drunk and what do they call it? Civil disobedience or whatever, right? But Russia put him on trial. Russia put him on trial, and they said that he had endangered the lives of the officers and he was accused of attacking them and grabbing the police car's steering wheel and causing it to swerve, despite video evidence later showing that never happened. U.S. officials would later call the trial the theater of the absurd. And that's not the first time I've heard that. Even Paul Whelan, if you look at the thumbnail, is holding a piece of paper saying that the trial is a complete sham. So if you're expecting the same type of justice, the process that we go through when we, think of the courtroom or whatever, nah, doesn't doesn't quite work like that in Russia. Give me just a sec here. Okay. So needless to say, his parents have been, trying everything to get him out. My understanding is he was even like in the hospital a few weeks ago, that he's had some sort of a health deterioration, but I don't really know the details about that. And of course, Moscow's known for like their labor camps. So apparently he was moved from a prison in Moscow to a remote prison colony, somewhere really remote. Um, it's kind of interesting because they say that in this prison colony, in this really isolated, remote prison colony, that it's really very, difficult to get doctors. They say the food, isn't the best, right? God only knows what they're feeding them, right? I think that he even did a few hunger strikes, though, too, at the same time. Like he was in solitary confinement, it looks like, for nearly 3 months because he refused to do labor in the prison camp. It's just one of those things, right? You don't know what you would do if you were in a situation like that. This isn't a situation that just comes up every day, you know. It's not like some locked up abroad where somebody actually, stupidly said, "Yeah, I'd love to make $10,000 and strap some cocaine to my body and look like a dummy," and people can see all the lumps from the cocaine or whatnot in my whatever. It's just crazy. But then talk about this prisoner swap started happening, right? this Yaroshenko fella, right? Konstantin Yaroshenko. This is who Trevor Reed was exchanged for. Now, Yaroshenko was a pilot who was serving a 20-year federal prison sentence here in America, in Connecticut, for conspiracy to smuggle cocaine into the United States after he was arrested in Liberia in 2010 and extradited to the United States. So that's interesting. But being the fact that Liberia, right, if you've done any research on Liberia, then you would know it's almost considered like a second United States. Like you get arrested in Liberia, the United States officials are going to do whatever they want with you. And then they don't have to apply United States laws necessarily. I mean, if it's legal to cut off a limb or something in Liberia, that's the rules they will operate under. It gets real kind of tricky from place to place. But apparently, Mr. Konstantin Yaroshenko was arrested in Liberia, and the United States brought him back here. And so he had been in a prison in Connecticut. So, according to Trevor Reed's father, his son, Trevor Reed, was first flown from Russia to Turkey, where he was then exchanged on the tarmac for Yaroshenko. They said it was like something out of a spy movie. They just literally walked past each other. You know, he's exactly. Basically, the father said this quote. He said it was like a movie. They walked past each other like in a spy swap. So that's exactly what it was. It's crazy, and I hope there will be some leverage there in Paul and Brittney's cases too, because we're talking like prison sentences that are handed out. I think Trevor Reed was sentenced to like 10 years or something like that, right? And again, they talk about how the trial it's just like a sham, complete sham. Of course, that dude is a Marine. You know, shout out to the Marines, right? Hoorah. But those are some bad motherfuckers, right? So if you think that you're going to make a Marine do his labor and, all from a drunken night, I've heard some of the stories, especially like stories in the Philippines where Marines, that I don't remember the name of the beer, but they made a beer that had a really thick bottle. And they said they would hit those Marines over the head with those beer bottles, and they said them motherfuckers are crazy, right? But it is what it is. It is what it is. So it just sort of makes me wonder, like, what's really going on? Because there's definitely more to it, for sure. And I hope that we can get Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan out of there soon. Do we have any other Russian prisoners? I'm sure we do. I'm sure we do. I wonder what was so important about Yaroshenko, though, aside from the fact that he's a pilot. He was selling cocaine or driving or, flying the cocaine or whatever, right? Hey, what's up, Michael Phillips? How you doing? But this is huge breaking news. I mean, maybe it shows a bit of a softening. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sort of speculating on that. Is Putin trying to kind of show a little bit of a softening? Because let's just be real about it. How much has the ruble went down since Putin started his incursion into Ukraine? Now, all of a sudden, they're calling for his head on war crimes. There are active investigations going on right now, investigating Vladimir Putin for war crimes. And he wasn't there, right? But he's the president. And is this some sort of way to sort of soften things, get a little pressure off? I'll give you someone, that you guys have been wanting, been trying to get him out of prison for years. I don't know. But I'll tell you this, the Russians, there's some hella negotiators, man. There's a lot of rich Russians too, when you really think about it. But yeah, I just wonder what was so important about Yaroshenko. And it's like, you can't help but wonder, was he KGB or something crazy like that? I don't know. Like, it seems like everybody's like former KGB over there. I mean, the world was trying to move forward and do, Russia has this military mindset, and they don't like us. Period. It's like, yeah. I mean, I think they tolerate us, and it's just kind of weird how they're just huge too. That's the other thing. Huge. But also at the same time, we have a lot of things globally going on with them. I mean, there's a lot of Russians that live here in America, and it's almost kind of surprising a little bit how, you always hear about attacks against like people of different races and stuff, but you don't ever really hear of attacks against like Russians and stuff like that. It's just something I observed, but I don't know. Great news, great news to say the very least. But I still just hope that, hold on, what is this? Oh, wow, hold up.
Since the Wall Street Journal.
Ouch. Hold on, y'all. Oh, come on.
Babe's first President Putin more than a decade ago, a relationship he has denied ever since. They met years earlier, reportedly when she was a young medal-winning gymnast. He looked smitten. Last week, stepping out at a Moscow gymnastics event, rallying the nation as it slips to international isolation.
If competitions will be held only in Russia, then on the contrary, the gymnastics will be better, more spectacular, and the Russian gymnastics is not losing anything in this situation.
Her life transformed, much richer, U.S. officials say, according to the Wall Street Journal, following her purported proximity to Putin. Questions now, why hasn't she been sanctioned like him?
Why you would refrain from sanctioning someone arguably close to Putin?
I don't have an analysis at this point because we're still reviewing. There's more we will likely do.
The two rarely, if ever, seen together. Their precise relationship, if any, unclear, but more than a decade of rumors undimmed with time. Now, against the backdrop of wartime symbolism, calling on the country to support Putin's war.
Every family has a history of war, and we shouldn't forget about it. We should hand it over from generation to generation.
Her wealth and ties to Putin, a hot political topic since the Wall Street Journal wrote Treasury officials decided last minute not to sanction her.
There's articles in the paper about family members that have been used by Putin to sort of launder money, and talk of a girlfriend in Sweden. Do you know anything about an effort to bring sanctions against her?
First answer is no, and the second answer, I guess, is if I did know, I wouldn't be able to discuss it.
Fair enough.
This is the Treasury Department.
Yeah.
Whatever Kubaeva's proximity to Putin, her financial moves never more closely watched than now.
Man, They say that not only does he have, this reputed girlfriend, he was married for many years, right? But, that doesn't stop anything, right? But anyway, guys, listen, that's what I wanted to talk about this news with Trevor Reed. I'm very glad to hear that he has been released and is on his way back home here to the United States of America. He is also a Texan, so welcome home, Trevor Reed. For the rest of you guys out on the Crimes and Investigations channel, thanks for dropping through. Until next time.